After my husband passed away, my son brought his wife to my house and told me, "She is going to live here, and she is going to teach you how to take care of the house properly." I laughed right in his face. In my house? The house I bought with my own money? With my sweat from 30 years of working as a cleaner, pulling double shifts, with wrecked knees and cracked hands? My daughter-in-law, Victoria, raised her purse as if she were going to hit me. I saw it in her eyes, that glint of rage, that impulse to humiliate me, but she regretted it quickly. She lowered her hand, because something in my gaze told her it was not going to be that easy. My name is Patricia Miller. I am 60 years old. And that day, 3 weeks after burying the man with whom I built my life, I learned that the greatest pain does not come from death. It comes from the living. Lucas, my only son, showed up that morning without warning. I heard the key in the lock while I was in the kitchen, washing dishes I had not even used. Since my husband died, cooking seemed useless to me. Who was I going to cook for? For myself alone? For this silence that filled every corner of the house? He entered with firm steps, stomping on the hardwood floor that I had refinished myself 15 years ago. He came with Victoria. She was carrying 2 large bags. I went out to meet them with my apron still on, smelling of detergent and loneliness. "Good morning, son." He did not even return the greeting. He dropped the bags on the floor, right on the rug I bought with my first paycheck. Victoria took off her shoes without asking my permission and sat on my sofa as if it were already hers. "Mom, we have to talk." His voice was cold. It was not the voice of the boy I raised. It was the voice of a man who had rehearsed a speech and was not going to stop until he finished it. I sat across from them. I was still trying to understand what was happening. "What is going on, Lucas?" "Victoria is going to help you." "Help me? With what?" Victoria leaned forward. She had that fake smile women use when they want to seem nice but are actually sizing you up to see where to strike the first blow. "Patricia, I know you have been through a difficult time, but now you need support. Someone to teach you how to manage this house correctly." I stared at her without blinking. Teach me? Me? To take care of the house that I raised with my own hands? I felt something hot rising up my throat. It was not crying. It was fury. "I do not understand." "Victoria, teach me what exactly?" She sighed, as if she were talking to a stubborn child. "How to clean properly? How to organize yourself? How to cook something decent? Lucas told me that since his father died, this house is neglected, that you are not cutting it." I looked at my son. I expected him to say something, to defend me, to tell that woman she was crazy. But Lucas just looked at the floor, like a scolded dog, like a coward. And right then I understood everything. My son was no longer mine. That woman had taken him. She had turned him into a stranger. Victoria continued talking. "So I am going to move in here for a while. I am going to teach you to do things right. Because let us be honest, Patricia, you cannot do it alone." Something inside me snapped. I stood up from the sofa. Slowly, very slowly. Victoria stopped smiling. Lucas looked up. For the first time in that conversation, they were really looking at me. And then I laughed. It was not a nervous laugh. It was not a laugh of fear. It was a real laugh. Deep, full of everything I had been holding in for 3 weeks. Full of pain, full of rage, full of something they did not expect. "You? Teach me? In my house?" Victoria frowned. "Yes, Patricia, in this house. Because clearly you do not know how." I interrupted her. "In my house that I bought with my money? With the 30 years I spent cleaning offices, bathrooms, other people's floors while you were not even born? With the knees I destroyed scrubbing stairs so that my son would have clean clothes and hot food every day?" My voice sounded strange, louder than I expected myself. Victoria went rigid. Lucas remained silent, but now he was pale. "I raised this house, Victoria, brick by brick, payment by payment. Every piece of furniture you see here, I bought. Every plate, every sheet, every nail in these walls has my sweat on it." Victoria stood up from the sofa. Her face was red, her fists clenched. "Do not talk to me like that, Patricia. I am your son's wife. I deserve respect." I walked closer to her. I was not afraid. Not anymore. Respect is earned, little girl. It is not demanded. That was it. That was what made her explode. Victoria raised her purse. I saw it coming. That quick movement, that arm raising to hit me in the face. But I did not move. I stayed there, staring her straight in the eyes. And something in my gaze stopped her. She lowered the purse. She was breathing heavily. She was shaking with rage. Lucas finally spoke. "Mom, do not talk to Victoria like that." I looked at him. My son. The boy I gave birth to. The boy I raised alone when his father worked the night shift. The boy for whom I made breakfast every day for 18 years. The boy for whom I worked until my bones ached. And me, Lucas? How does she speak to me? He did not know what to say. He stood there, between the two of us, not knowing whom to obey. And that hurt me more than any blow. Victoria grabbed her bags from the floor. "This is not going to stay like this, Patricia, Lucas. Let us go." They left my house, slamming the door. The silence that remained afterward was heavy, dense. I sat on the sofa and looked around. Everything was the same, but I was no longer the same. That night I did not sleep. I stayed sitting in the living room, with the lights off, thinking about everything. About how I had reached this point. About how my own son had betrayed me. About how that woman had tried to hit me in my own home. And I also thought about something else. Something that made my blood run cold. What else were they planning? The following days were strange. Lucas did not return. He did not call. He did not send messages. It was as if that slam had closed something more than the door of my house. It had closed any trace of what we once were as mother and son. I continued with my routine. I got up early. I made coffee that I did not drink. I cleaned rooms that no one dirtied. But my mind would not stop. I could not stop thinking about what had happened, about Victoria's words, about Lucas's silence, about that moment when she raised her purse to hit me. And then I started to remember. It was not all at once. It was little by little. Like when you find an old photo and suddenly 1,000 more memories come back to you. I started to see patterns, signs, things I ignored at the time because a mother always wants to believe the best of her son. The first time I noticed something strange was 2 years ago. It was my birthday. I was turning 58. Lucas had promised me he would come for lunch. I prepared his favorite meal, roast chicken with mashed potatoes, fresh salad, a homemade cheesecake that took me all morning to make. I set the table nicely. I brought out the good plates, the ones we only used on special occasions. My husband was still alive. He was also waiting for Lucas. We both sat down to wait. An hour passed. Then 2. I called Lucas 3 times. He did not answer. I sent him texts. Nothing. The food got cold. My husband hugged me and told me he surely had an emergency at work. I wanted to believe him. At 7 in the evening, Lucas finally called. "Sorry, Mom. The day got complicated. I promise I will come next week." His voice sounded normal. It did not sound guilty. It did not sound regretful. It sounded as if forgetting your mother's birthday was something unimportant. "No problem, son. I love you." I hung up the phone and cried in silence while I threw the food in the trash. But that was just the beginning. After that, the cancellations became frequent. He always had an excuse. There was always something more important. A last-minute meeting. A commitment with Victoria's family. A headache. Exhaustion. Traffic. I always understood. I always told him not to worry. That the important thing was for him to be okay. But inside, something was breaking. Then came Christmas last year. The last Christmas we spent with my husband alive. I had asked Lucas to come for dinner. I begged him. My husband was already sick. We already knew he did not have much time left. I wanted one last Christmas together. The 3 of us. As a family, Lucas said yes. He promised me he would be there. I prepared everything weeks in advance. I bought gifts. I decorated the house. I cooked for 2 days straight. I made a glazed ham, eggnog, gingerbread cookies, everything Lucas liked as a child. My husband helped me where he could. He was so weak he could barely stand. But he also wanted that dinner. He also wanted to see his son. The table was ready at 8 in the evening. The candles lit. The food hot. My husband sitting in his chair with the portable oxygen tank beside him, waiting. 8:30. 9. 9:30. I called Lucas. He did not answer. I sent him texts. Nothing. At 10 o'clock at night, my husband stood up slowly. He looked at me with those tired eyes that no longer had a spark. "Let us eat. Patricia, he will come another day." But we both knew there was no other day. That was the last chance. We ate in silence, the table full of food. Only two people. A huge void where our son should have been. The next day, Lucas sent me a message. "Sorry, Mom. Victoria organized a dinner with her family and I could not get away. Merry Christmas." He did not come to visit us in the entire month of December, nor in January, nor in February. My husband died in March. Lucas arrived at the funeral. He cried. He hugged the coffin. He said he loved his father, but he did not visit him when he was alive. He was not there when we needed him most. And I forgave him. Because mothers always forgive. Because I thought the pain would change him, that his father's death would bring him back to me. I was wrong. I kept remembering. More things kept coming back. More details I had ignored. Like that time I saw him at the grocery store. I was buying vegetables. I saw him on the other side of the aisle with Victoria. I raised my hand to wave to him, but he looked away, quickly, as if he had not seen me. Victoria grabbed him by the arm and took him down another aisle. I stayed there, with my hand still raised, feeling invisible, or like when I called him because the kitchen pipe had burst. My husband had just died. I did not know who to call. Lucas told me he was busy, that I should call a plumber. He sent me a number by text and hung up. I had to pay $200 I did not have. I had to take money out of the savings for the funeral. Or like when I invited him to my house for his birthday, I told him I had made him a cake, that I wanted to see him. He told me maybe, that he was going to see if he could. He never arrived. I saw on his social media that he had gone to an expensive restaurant with Victoria and her friends. In the photo, he was smiling. Happy, surrounded by people who were not me. All those times, I had found excuses. I told myself it was normal, that children grow up, that they make their own lives, that you cannot expect them to always be with you. But now, sitting in my empty living room, I understood the truth. It was not that Lucas was busy, it was that Lucas was erasing me. And it was not something recent. It had not started after my husband's death. It had started much earlier. Since he married Victoria, she had been pushing him away little by little, with comments, with plans, with excuses. And he had let it happen. I got up from the sofa and went to my bedroom. I opened the closet and took out an old shoebox I kept on the top shelf. Inside were photos, memories, letters Lucas had written to me when he was a child. I took out a photo from when he was 7 years old. We were both at the park. He had ice cream on his face. I was hugging him. We were both laughing. Where had that boy gone? I put the photo away and kept searching. I found another one. It was from the day of his college graduation. I was so proud. I had worked extra shifts for 4 years to pay for his studies. I had broken my back cleaning offices so he would not have to worry about money. In the photo, he was hugging me. He was telling me in my ear, "Thanks, Mom. Everything I am is because of you." I closed the box. I could not keep looking. It hurt too much. That night, I did not sleep either. I stayed up thinking about everything, about every detail, about every lie, about every time they made me feel that I was the problem, that I was the one exaggerating, that I was the one asking for too much. But it was not true. I was not asking for too much. I only asked for the minimum: a call, a visit, a little bit of time, a little bit of love. And they did not even give me that. I got up and went to the kitchen. I made tea. I sat by the window and looked at the empty street. It was 3 a.m. There was no one outside, just me and my thoughts. And then I realized something. Victoria had not come to my house that day to help me. She had come for something else. To test something. To see how far she could go. To see if I was going to let her. And when I laughed, when I confronted her, when I did not let myself be humiliated, when she raised that purse and I did not move, there she lost. But this was not over. I knew that. Women like Victoria do not give up easily. And men like Lucas, so weak, so manipulatable, can do anything if someone tells them it is the right thing. I finished my tea. I washed the cup. I went back to my room. But before going to bed, I did something I had not done in a long time. I opened the drawer of my nightstand and took out an old notebook, a notebook where my husband and I kept important documents. I turned the pages slowly. Deeds, receipts, bills. Everything was there. Everything in order. Everything in my name. I closed the notebook and put it back. If something was coming, I was going to be ready. 5 days passed without news from Lucas. 5 days of silence that felt like an eternity. I continued with my routine. I cleaned. I cooked little. I slept less. But something had changed in me. I was no longer sad. I was no longer confused. I was awake. Awake in a way I had not been in years. I realized that I had spent so much time justifying my son, protecting him, believing in him, that I stopped protecting myself. I stopped seeing things as they were. I let them make me feel guilty for wanting love, for wanting respect, for wanting what any mother deserves, but no more. One morning, while I was drinking coffee in the kitchen, I heard a car stop in front of my house. I looked out the window. It was Lucas. He came alone, without Victoria. That surprised me. I thought that after what happened, he would not come back, or that if he came back, it would be with her, with reinforcements. But no, he was alone. He got out of the car slowly. He closed the door carefully. He walked toward the entrance of the house as if he were walking on broken glass. He rang the doorbell. That also surprised me. He had a key. He always used his key. But this time he rang the doorbell. Like a stranger. I opened the door. We looked at each other in silence for a few seconds. He had dark circles under his eyes. He looked tired, nervous. He put his hands in his pockets and looked down. "Hello, Mom." "Hello, Lucas." Another silence. Uncomfortable. Heavy. I was not going to make things easy for him. Not anymore. "Can I come in?" "It is your decision." He entered slowly. He looked around as if it were the first time he was seeing the house. He sat on the sofa without me inviting him. I remained standing, waiting. I was not going to sit down until I knew what he wanted. "Mom, I need to talk to you." "I am here." He ran his hands over his face. He took a deep breath. It seemed he was looking for the right words. Or maybe he was remembering the speech Victoria had prepared for him, what happened the other day. It was wrong. What part exactly? I stared at him. I wanted him to say it. I wanted to hear it from his mouth. Everything. Victoria crossed the line. She should not have spoken to you like that, and I should not have allowed it. But you allowed it. Lucas, you stayed silent while your wife disrespected me in my own home. While she told me I do not know how to take care of the place I built myself. He lowered his gaze again. He always did that when he did not want to face the truth. I know. And I am sorry. Are you sorry? Or did Victoria send you to say you are sorry? He looked up quickly, surprised, as if he did not expect me to say that. No. Mom, I am saying this. Victoria does not even know I am here. That made me doubt a little. Maybe it was true. Maybe he had come on his own. Maybe there was something left of the son I raised. But I could not trust yet, not after everything. And what do you want, Lucas? What do you expect me to do? Act as if nothing happened? No. I just want us to talk, to fix this. I finally sat down, but not on the sofa with him. I sat on the chair on the other side, keeping distance, keeping control. That is fine. Let us talk. Tell me one thing, Lucas. Why did you bring Victoria that day? Why did you tell me she was going to teach me to take care of my house? He shifted uncomfortably on the sofa. I thought you needed help. Since Dad died, you have been alone. I thought it would be good for you to have company, someone to help you with things around the house. Someone to teach me, you said. Not someone to help me. You told me she was going to teach me, as if I did not know, as if I were incapable. I did not mean to say it like that. But that is how you said it, Lucas. And Victoria made it very clear. She did not come to help me. She came to take control, to tell me how I should live in my own house. The silence returned. He looked small now, shrunk on the sofa, like a scolded child. But I did not feel pity. Not anymore. Mom, I know things have been weird between us. I know I have not been present as I should. But I want to fix it. I want us to be a family again. Family? When was the last time you acted like family, Lucas? When was the last time you called me just to know how I was? When was the last time you came to visit me without me asking you? He did not answer, because he had no answer. Do you remember my birthday 2 years ago? I made your favorite meal. I waited all day. You did not arrive. You did not even call until the night. That was a long time ago. Mom, do you remember the last Christmas with your father? You asked him to come. I begged you. He was dying, Lucas. And you did not arrive. You preferred to go to dinner with Victoria's family. His face changed. It turned red. He clenched his fists. It is not fair for you to throw that in my face now. It is not fair? Do you know what is not fair, son? That your father died waiting for you. That I was left a widow and 3 weeks later you showed up here with your wife to tell me I do not know how to take care of my own house. That is not fair. He got up from the sofa. He started walking in circles. He was nervous, angry, but not with me. He was angry because he knew I was right. I did not come here to fight, Mom. I do not want to fight either, Lucas. But I am also not going to keep pretending everything is okay. Not anymore. He stopped in front of me. He looked at me with those eyes that were once those of a sweet boy, but now they were the eyes of a confused man, lost. What do you want me to do? Tell me what you want, and I will do it. I want you to tell me the truth. Why have you been pulling away from me? Why did you stop visiting me? Why did you stop calling me? Was it your idea, or was it Victoria's idea? He opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. He stayed there, quiet, searching for words he could not find. And right there I knew the answer. Victoria, I whispered. It was her, wasn't it? She has been filling your head. She has been telling you things about me. It is not like that, Mom. Then tell me how it is. Lucas, explain to me why my son, the boy I raised alone while his father worked, the boy I gave everything to, now treats me as if I were a burden, as if I were a problem that needs to be solved. The tears started to come out. I could not help it. But they were not tears of weakness. They were tears of rage, of pain, of everything I had been holding in. Lucas came closer. He tried to hug me, but I pulled away. No, Lucas, you cannot fix it with a hug. Not after everything. He let his arms drop. He looked defeated, lost. But he still did not tell me the truth. He was still protecting Victoria. I think you should leave, I told him. Mom, please, go. Lucas, come back when you are ready to tell me the truth, when you are ready to be my son again. He stayed there a few seconds more, waiting for me to change my mind, but I did not. Finally, he walked toward the door. Before leaving, he turned around. I love you, Mom. I love you too, son. But love is not enough when there is no respect. He left and closed the door behind him. I heard the car start. I heard it driving away. And I stayed there, standing in my living room, feeling the silence again. But this time the silence was different. It was not empty. It was not sad. It was firm. It was decided. Because I had set a limit. For the first time in a long time, I had told my son no. I had told him that I also deserved respect, that I also mattered, and that made me feel strong. That night, while I was preparing dinner, the phone rang. It was a number I did not know. I hesitated to answer, but something told me to do it. Hello? Mrs. Patricia Miller? Yes, this is her. Who is speaking? My name is Benjamin Foster. I am an attorney. I need to speak with you about an urgent matter related to your house. My heart stopped. My house? What is wrong with my house? I prefer to speak in person, Mrs. Miller. Could I meet with you tomorrow? It is important. I swallowed hard. I felt a chill. That is fine. Come tomorrow at 10. I will be there. Thank you, ma'am. I hung up the phone. I stared at the wall. What was happening? Why did a lawyer want to talk to me about my house? And then I knew. This was not over. Something bigger was coming. That night I could not sleep. I stayed awake staring at the ceiling, thinking about the lawyer's call. What did he want to tell me about my house? Why was it so urgent? 1,000 thoughts went through my head. None good. At 6 in the morning, I was already up. I showered. I dressed carefully. I wanted to look presentable, strong. I made coffee and sat down to wait. The hours passed slowly. Every minute seemed like an eternity. At 10 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. I opened the door and saw a man of about 40 years. Gray suit, black briefcase, glasses. He had a serious but kind face. He extended his hand. "Good morning, Mrs. Miller. I am Benjamin Foster. Come in." I showed him into the living room. I offered him coffee. He accepted. We sat across from each other. He took some papers out of his briefcase. I waited in silence. My heart was beating fast. "Mrs. Miller, I came because I received a very strange inquiry 2 weeks ago. A woman named Victoria Chase contacted me." I felt my stomach drop. "Victoria?" "Yes. She told me she was your daughter-in-law. She asked me to investigate the legal status of this property. She wanted to know if there was any way she and her husband could claim rights to this house." I froze. I could not believe what I was hearing. "Claim rights? To my house?" Benjamin nodded. His expression was serious. "She told me you were getting older, that you could no longer take care of yourself alone, that you needed help. She asked me if there was any legal figure that would allow them to take control of the property for reasons of health or mental incapacity." I felt my face burning. Rage rose up my throat like fire. "Mental incapacity? I am perfectly fine. How does that woman dare to say that?" "I know, ma'am. That is why I am here. When she made that inquiry, something did not seem right to me. I asked her for documentation, medical certificates, something to back up what she was saying. She never sent them. So I decided to investigate on my own." "Investigate what?" "Her. Victoria Chase." Benjamin took more papers out of his briefcase. He put them on the table between us. "I found something you need to know. Victoria has done this before." "What do you mean she has done this before?" 4 years ago, Victoria was married to another man. An older man. A widower. With his own house. She married him. 6 months later, the man started showing signs of dementia. Victoria managed to get a doctor to declare him incompetent. She took control of his finances, of his house. The man ended up committed to a nursing home. Victoria sold the house and kept the money. 2 months later, she filed for divorce. I could not breathe. I could not speak. I could only look at him while he kept talking. The man died the following year. Alone. In that nursing home. Without family. Without anything. And Victoria disappeared with all his assets. And no one stopped her? No one did anything? The man's family tried to sue. But by that time, the papers were in order. Victoria had been smart. Everything was legal. Technically, she had not stolen anything. She had just taken advantage of the situation. I put my hands to my face. I could not believe what I was hearing. "And my son? Does Lucas know this?" Benjamin shook his head. "I do not think so. Victoria is very careful. She looks for vulnerable men who need someone, men who are alone or who have just lost someone. Your son lost his father recently, right?" "Yes. 3 months ago. There it is. She found him in a weak moment. She seduced him. She convinced him that she was what he needed. And now she is doing the same with you. She wants the house, Mrs. Miller. That is her goal. It has always been her goal." The tears started to fall, but they were not tears of sadness. They were of fury, of helplessness, of pain, for my son, for my family, for everything. "Why are you telling me this? Why did you come all the way here?" "Because when Victoria contacted me, I knew something was not right. I investigated. I found her history, and I could not stay silent. I could not let her do to another family what she already did to others." "Are there more cases?" "At least 2 that I could confirm. Probably there are more. She changes cities, changes names sometimes, uses different last names. She is an expert at this." I wiped my tears. I tried to think clearly. What can I do? How do I stop her? First, we need to make sure this house is completely protected. "Are the papers in your name?" "Yes. Everything is in my name. My husband and I bought this house 30 years ago. When he died, everything passed to me. I have the deeds. I have everything." "Good. That is good. But we need to do something else. We need a clear will. We need documents that prove you are in full possession of your mental faculties. We need to shield everything legally so Victoria cannot do anything. Benjamin took a card out of his pocket and handed it to me. This is my card. I can help you with all of that. No charge. Consider it pro bono service. I cannot allow this woman to keep destroying families. I took the card with trembling hands. Thank you. I do not know what to say. You do not have to say anything. You just have to protect yourself. And protect your son. My son? How do I protect him? He is blinded by her. He is not going to believe me. Then we have to show him the truth. With evidence. With documents. With facts he cannot deny. Benjamin pushed the papers toward me. Keep this. Read it. Everything is here. The names of the previous victims. The dates. The legal documents. Everything you need to know about who Victoria Chase really is. I took the papers carefully. They were thick. Many pages. Many proofs. Can I take this to Lucas? You can. But I advise you to protect yourself first. Secure the house. Make the will. Gather your own documents. And then confront your son. Because when he sees this, everything is going to explode. And you need to be prepared. Benjamin stood up. He put the rest of his papers in the briefcase. I will call you tomorrow to start with the paperwork. Meanwhile, do not say anything to anyone. Not to Lucas. Not to Victoria. No one can know that I came here. Why? Because if Victoria finds out that you know the truth, she is going to accelerate her plans. And we do not know what she is capable of when she feels cornered. A shiver ran down my back. Do you think she can hurt me? I do not know. But I do not want to find out. Be careful, Mrs. Miller. Lock the doors well. Do not let her into your house. And if you notice anything strange, anything at all, call me immediately. I nodded. I felt dizzy. All this was too much. Benjamin walked toward the door. Before leaving, he turned around. You are going to be okay, ma'am. You are stronger than you think. And now, you have the truth on your side. That is the most powerful thing you can have. He left. I locked the door. I leaned against it. The papers were in my hands. Heavy, full of horrible truths. I went to the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of water. I drank slowly. I tried to calm down. I tried to process everything I had just heard. Victoria was a con artist, a predator. She had destroyed families. She had left a man to die alone in a nursing home. And now she wanted to do the same to me. She wanted my house. She wanted to remove me from my own life. And my son had no idea. I sat at the kitchen table. I opened the papers Benjamin had given me. I started reading. Every page was worse than the last. Photos of Victoria with different men, marriage certificates, divorce certificates, property sale deeds, complaints that never went anywhere, testimonies of destroyed families. Everything was there, black and white, irrefutable. I reached a page that made me stop. It was an old photo. Victoria was younger, maybe 25 years old. She was next to an older man. He was smiling. He looked happy. Below the photo it said, Arthur Gales, 68 years old, married to Victoria for 8 months, declared incompetent, committed, passed away alone. I looked at the photo for a long time. That man had been someone. He had had a life, a house, dreams. And Victoria took everything from him. I was not going to let her do the same to me. I put the papers in a safe place. I hid them in the back of my closet, inside an old box that no one would check. I spent the rest of the day in silence, thinking, planning. I knew I had to act fast, but I also had to be smart. I could not make mistakes. That night, while I was eating dinner alone, my phone rang. It was Lucas. I hesitated to answer, but I did. Hello? Mom, it is me. Can we talk? Now is not a good time. Lucas, please. Mom, just 5 minutes. I sighed. All right, speak. I want you to come for dinner at my place tomorrow. Victoria and I want to talk to you. We want to fix things. I felt a knot in my stomach. A dinner? With Victoria? After everything I had just discovered, I do not know. Lucas. Please, Mom, it is important. We want to start over. We want to be a family again. His voice sounded sincere, desperate. But I already knew the truth. I knew this was not his idea. It was her idea. It was another move. All right, I said finally. I will go. Really? Yes. At what time? At 7. I will text you the address. I will be there. I hung up the phone. My heart was beating fast. I knew that dinner was a trap. I knew Victoria was planning something. But I was also planning. I was going to go to that dinner, but I was not going to go as a victim. I was going to go with the truth in my hands, and with Benjamin Foster as backup. Because if Victoria wanted to play, I knew how to play too, and this time I held all the cards. The next day I called Benjamin Foster early in the morning. I told him about the dinner invitation. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Do not go alone, he told me finally. It is too dangerous. I have to go, Benjamin. If I do not go, they are going to suspect. They are going to know something changed. Then let me accompany you. I can wait for you outside. In the car. Just in case. I thought for a moment. It made sense. I did not know what to expect from that dinner. I did not know how far Victoria was capable of going. All right, but let us keep this discreet. I do not want them to know you are there. Understood. Send me the address, and I will see you there at 7. I spent the day preparing myself, not just emotionally, also practically. I went to the bank. I asked for certified copies of all the deeds to my house. I asked for bank statements. I asked for every document proving I was the legitimate owner of my property and that I was in full use of my faculties. The bank employee looked at me strangely. Is everything okay, Mrs. Miller? Yes. I just want to have everything in order. A lie. Nothing was okay. But I could not tell a stranger that. Then I went to the notary. I asked the notary to draft a document certifying that I was mentally and physically capable, that no one was pressuring me, that all my decisions were mine. Ma'am, this is very unusual, the notary told me. Is there a problem? I just want to protect myself. I want it to be clear that no one can make decisions for me without my consent. She nodded. She did not ask any more questions. She made the document. I signed it. She stamped it. She gave me 3 copies. I went back home with all those papers. I put them together with the ones Benjamin had given me. Now, I had a complete file. Evidence. Documents. Truths. At 6 in the evening, I started getting ready. I put on a simple but elegant dress, wine-colored. I did my hair. I put on a little makeup. I wanted to look dignified, strong, not like a victim. Before leaving, I put copies of some documents in my purse, just in case. Just in case I needed to show Lucas something. Just in case I needed to defend myself. At 6:45, I left my house. Benjamin was already waiting for me on the corner, in a gray car, discreet. I approached his window. Ready? As ready as I can be. Remember, I am going to be right here outside. If something goes wrong, if you feel you are in danger, call me or run out. Whatever it takes. But do not stay there if things get ugly. Understood. And Patricia, one more thing. Yes, be strong. But be smart. Do not reveal everything you know. Observe first. Listen. Let them talk. People always give themselves away when they talk too much. I nodded. He was right. I could not arrive there and throw all the cards on the table. I had to play this intelligently. I arrived at Lucas's apartment at 7 o'clock sharp. It was a small apartment. Nothing luxurious. Nothing compared to my house. That made me think. If Lucas had so little, why had Victoria married him? The answer was obvious. She did not marry him. She married the possibility of keeping my house. I rang the doorbell. I heard footsteps inside. The door opened. It was Lucas. He was smiling. But the smile did not reach his eyes. Mom, thanks for coming. I am here. I entered. The apartment smelled of home-cooked food. The table was set. Everything looked very arranged, very planned. Victoria came out of the kitchen. She was wearing an apron. She was also smiling. It was also fake. Patricia, good thing you came. I hope you are hungry. I made your favorite dish. My favorite dish? You do not even know what my favorite dish is. I said it in my mind. Not out loud. Not yet. I still had to play the game. Thank you, Victoria. We sat down, the 3 of us, at the table. Lucas poured wine. Victoria brought the food, chicken with rice, salad, bread. Everything looked good. But I was not hungry. My stomach was in knots. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Uncomfortable. No one knew how to start the conversation. Finally, Lucas spoke. "Mom, we asked you to come because we want to apologize. What happened the other time was very wrong. Victoria and I have talked about it and we want to start over." I looked at Victoria. She had her head down. She was playing with the food on her plate. "Is that true, Victoria? Do you want to apologize?" She looked up. Her eyes were cold, but her voice was sweet. "Yes, Patricia. I crossed the line. I should not have spoken to you like that. I was worried about you, about your well-being, but I understand you took it wrong. I am sorry." Fake. It was all fake. I could see it in her face. I could feel it in the air. "Worried about me? Is that why you said I did not know how to take care of my house? Is that why you wanted to hit me?" The atmosphere became tense. Lucas shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Victoria stopped smiling. "I was not going to hit you, Patricia. I was just frustrated. You raised your purse at me." "Victoria, I was there. I saw it. It was an impulse, a moment of madness. But I would not have done it. I would never hurt you." Liar. I knew she was a liar. I knew what she had done before. I knew what she was capable of. "That is fine," I said finally. "I accept your apology." Lucas released the air he was holding. Victoria smiled again. They thought they had won. That they had convinced me. That I was foolish enough to believe them. But I knew how to act too. We continued eating. The conversation became lighter. Lucas told me about his work. Victoria talked about some friends. I nodded. I smiled. I pretended everything was fine. After dinner, while Lucas was clearing the dishes, Victoria approached me in the living room. "Patricia, there is something else we wanted to talk to you about." Here it comes, I thought. Here comes what they really wanted. Lucas came back from the kitchen. He sat next to Victoria. Both of them looked at me. There was something on their faces. Something that put me on alert. "Mom, we have been thinking. Living alone is not good for you, especially after Dad's death. You need company. You need support." "I see. And what do you propose?" Victoria took Lucas's hand. They looked at each other. Then they looked at me. "We want to move in with you," said Victoria. "To your house. So we can take care of you. So you are not alone." There it was. The real plan. They wanted to get into my house. They wanted access. They wanted to start the process of removing me from my own life. I stayed quiet, counting to 10 in my mind, controlling myself. "I do not know if that is a good idea," I said finally. "Why not? It is a big house. It has space. And that way we would all be together. Like a family." Lucas nodded. "Think about it. Mom, you would not have to be alone. I would be there. Victoria would be there. It would be like before." "Like before? Before what?" "Before you abandoned me. Before you forgot me. Before you tried to take everything from me." "I need to think about it," I said. "It is a big decision." Victoria tensed up. She did not like my answer. "What is there to think about, Patricia? We are family. Families live together. Not all families, Victoria. And not in all circumstances." The silence became heavy. Lucas looked at Victoria. Victoria looked at me. There was rage in her eyes. Rage she was trying to hide. "All right," she said finally. "Take your time, but think about it carefully. Because it is not healthy for you to be alone at your age. I am 60 years old, Victoria, not 80. I can still take care of myself." I stood up. I took my purse. "Thanks for dinner, but I think it is time for me to go." Lucas stood up quickly. "I will drive you, Mom." "No need. I took a cab to come. I will take one back." I left the apartment before they could stop me. I went down the stairs quickly. My heart was beating fast. I needed to get out of there. I needed air. Benjamin was waiting in the car. When he saw me, he opened the passenger door. "Get in. Quickly." I got in. I closed the door. I took a deep breath. What happened? They wanted to move into my house. That was their plan. Get into my house. Take control little by little. Benjamin nodded. He did not seem surprised. It is her modus operandi. First, they gain trust. Then they move in. Then they start isolating the victim, controlling finances, making legal changes, until the person is completely defenseless. I am not going to let that happen. I know. That is why we are going to act fast. Tomorrow we go to the notary. We are going to make a watertight will. We are going to put the house in a trust. We are going to make sure no one can take it from you. Not Lucas. Not Victoria. No one. And then? Then we show your son who the woman he married really is. And if he does not believe me, he is going to believe you. Because we are not going just with words. We are going with evidence, with documents, with witnesses, with everything. Benjamin drove me to my house. Before I got out, he gave me an envelope. What is this? More information on Victoria. I got testimonies from the previous families. They are willing to talk. They are willing to testify if necessary. I took the envelope. It was heavy. It was full. Thank you, Benjamin. I do not know how to thank you for all this. You do not have to thank me. You just have to protect yourself. And let me help you. I entered my house. I locked up. I went straight to my room. I opened the envelope. There were letters, testimonies written by hand, photos, more legal documents. I read every one. Heartbreaking stories, destroyed families, abandoned elderly people, stolen inheritances. And in the center of it all, always the same woman, Victoria Chase, with different last names, with different stories, but always the same pattern. I put everything together with my other documents. Now I had a complete file, a solid case, irrefutable evidence. Tomorrow I would start shielding my house, protecting my assets, and then the hardest part would come. I would have to show my son the truth about his wife. And I prayed he would believe me before it was too late. The next 3 days were a race against time. Benjamin and I worked nonstop. We went to the notary. We made the will. We put the house in a trust that only I could modify. We opened a new bank account where I transferred my savings. We changed the locks on my house. We made copies of all the important documents and kept them in a safety deposit box at the bank. Every step we took made me feel safer, more protected, but also more aware of how close I had been to danger. If Benjamin had not appeared, if he had not warned me, I probably would have already signed something. I probably would have already let Victoria and Lucas move in, and then it would have been too late. Lucas called me twice during those days. He wanted to know if I had thought about his proposal, if I was ready to let them move in with me. Every time I told him the same thing. I am still thinking. I need time. He did not like it. I could hear the frustration in his voice. And behind that frustration, I could hear Victoria. Surely she was pressuring him. Surely she was telling him that I was difficult, that I was stubborn, that I was selfish for not wanting help. But I no longer felt guilty. I no longer felt bad for setting boundaries, because now I knew the truth, and the truth had freed me from guilt. On the 4th day, Benjamin arrived at my house with more news. I found someone who wants to talk to you. Who? Arthur Gales's son, the man who died in the nursing home. Victoria's first husband that we could document. I felt a shiver. That man, the one in the photo, the one who had died alone. He wants to talk to me? Why? Because when I told him your situation, he identified with it. He said what is happening to you is exactly what happened to his father, and he wants to help you. He wants you not to end up how his dad ended up. When can I see him? Today. If you are ready. He is waiting at a coffee shop near here. I am ready. We went in Benjamin's car. The coffee shop was 20 minutes away. It was a quiet place, not crowded, perfect for a private conversation. Arthur Gales's son was sitting at a back table. He was a man of about 40, dark hair with some gray, sad eyes. When he saw us arrive, he stood up. Mrs. Miller? Yes, nice to meet you. We sat down, the 3 of us. We ordered coffee. He took a deep breath before starting to speak. My name is Ryan Gales. My father was Arthur Gales. He died 3 years ago. Alone. In a nursing home where I did not even know he was. I am so sorry. He shook his head. Do not be sorry for me. Be sorry for him. Because he died without understanding what had happened to him. Without understanding how he had ended up there, Ryan took out his phone. He showed me a photo. It was his father, the same man from the photo Benjamin had shown me, but older, more frail. My dad was a widower. My mom had died 2 years earlier. He was alone, sad. Then he met Victoria at a supermarket. She was very kind to him, very affectionate. They started dating. 3 months later, they got married. So fast? Yes. I told him to wait, to get to know her better. But he was in love, or so he thought. Victoria made him feel young again, made him feel alive. It sounded familiar to me. Too familiar. Except in my case, the victim was not me directly. It was my son. She had made him fall in love to get to me. What happened next? Ryan took a sip of his coffee. His hands were shaking. The first few months were good. Or so it seemed. Victoria moved in with him. Into his house. The house where I grew up, where my mom had lived. She started changing things, redecorating, throwing away things that according to her were no longer useful. My dad told me he was happy, that Victoria took very good care of him. But then things changed. Ryan ran his hands over his face. Victoria started distancing my dad from the family, from me, from my sisters. There were always excuses, that he was tired, that he did not feel well, that he needed to rest. The visits became less frequent, then almost non-existent. Like Lucas with me, I thought. The same pattern. And then, out of nowhere, Victoria called us. She told us my dad had been diagnosed with dementia, that a doctor had said he could no longer take care of himself, that she had had to take control of his finances because he could no longer handle his money. Was it true? Did he have dementia? Ryan shook his head furiously. I do not know. We never saw the diagnosis. Victoria never let us talk to the doctor. She never let us see my dad in private. She was always there, controlling everything. And when we finally managed to see my dad alone, he was confused, scared. He told us Victoria was giving him pills. Lots of pills. That he felt weird. That he did not know what was happening. My God. We tried to do something. We hired a lawyer. But by that time, Victoria had made all the legal moves. She had power of attorney. She had control of the accounts. She had everything. And the doctor who had helped her backed her story. Was the doctor bought? We could not prove it. But yes, we believe so. And the house? She sold it. 6 months after marrying my dad. She sold it for $200,000. She kept all the money. And she put my dad in the cheapest nursing home she found. $300 a month, in a horrible place. Dirty. Without proper care, tears started falling down my face. I could not help it. The story was heartbreaking. And you could not get him out of there? We tried. We went with lawyers, we went to court, but Victoria had all the papers. She had legal guardianship. And my dad was already so deteriorated he could not testify. He could not defend himself. Ryan wiped his eyes. He died a year later, alone, in that horrible place. The last time I saw him, he did not recognize me. The pills had destroyed him, or the loneliness, or both. I will never know. I am so sorry, Ryan. He stared me straight in the eyes. That is why I am here, Mrs. Miller. Because when Benjamin told me your story, I knew I had to warn you. Victoria is going to do the same to you. She is going to make you seem incompetent. She is going to find a doctor to back her. She is going to take control of your house. And when you are no longer useful to her, she is going to leave you somewhere far from your family. And she is going to keep everything. I am not going to let that happen. Good. Because I am going to help you. I am going to testify. I am going to tell what happened to my dad. And if necessary, I am going to go with you to confront your son. He needs to know who he married. Benjamin intervened. We have a plan. We are going to gather everyone. Patricia, Lucas, Victoria, Ryan, me. We are going to put all the evidence on the table. We are going to show Lucas the truth. And we are going to give him the chance to walk away from Victoria before it is too late. And if he does not believe me, and if he defends her, then at least you will already be protected. Your house will be safe. Your documents will be in order. Victoria will not be able to touch you. But my son, your son will have to make his own decision, said Ryan. Like my dad made his? I just hope he makes it before it is too late. We spent 2 more hours in that coffee shop. Ryan told me more details. He showed me documents, photos of his dad before and after meeting Victoria. The difference was heartbreaking. In the before photos, Arthur looked happy, healthy. In the after photos, he looked lost, empty. That is not going to happen to me, I said. I am not going to end up like that. It will not end up like that, said Benjamin, because you are stronger, because you are taking action, because you are not alone. He was right. I was not alone. I had Benjamin. I had Ryan. I had the truth. Now I just needed my son to see it too. That night, sitting in my living room, I made a decision. It was time to confront Lucas. It was time to show him everything. It was time to give him the chance to choose. His mother or that woman. I called Benjamin. I am ready. Organize the meeting. Are you sure? Completely sure. The longer we wait, the more dangerous it becomes. Let us do it now. All right. I will tell Lucas you want to talk. That you have something important to tell him. He will come with Victoria. Obviously. Let her come. Let both of them come. I want her to be there when I show my son who she really is. The meeting was scheduled for 2 days later. In my house. At 6 in the evening. Lucas accepted immediately. He probably thought I had accepted his proposal. That I was going to let them move in. He had no idea what really awaited him. The next 2 days I spent preparing. I organized all the documents. I put them in separate folders. One folder with the evidence on Victoria, another with my legal documents, another with the testimonies from Ryan and other victims. I also cleaned the house. I cooked. I made coffee. Not because I wanted to be hospitable, but because I needed to keep myself busy. I needed to calm my nerves. The night before the meeting, I barely slept. I stayed awake imagining how it would be, how Lucas would react, how Victoria would react, if they would believe me, if they would attack me, if everything would blow up. But there was no turning back. It was time for the truth to come out. And whatever happened, I would be ready. The day arrived. I got up early even though I had barely slept. I showered. I dressed carefully. I chose a gray dress. Sober. Serious. I wanted to look strong. I wanted that when Lucas looked at me, he saw the woman who had raised him. Not a victim. Not someone weak. But his mother. The woman who had always fought for him. Benjamin arrived at 5 in the evening. He brought more documents, more evidence. Ryan arrived shortly after. He looked nervous. I was too, but there was something stronger than nerves. There was determination. We went over everything one last time. The plan was simple. I would start speaking. I would tell Lucas I had discovered things about Victoria. I would show him the documents one by one. Ryan would give his testimony. Benjamin would explain the legal aspects. And then, Lucas would have to decide. At 6 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. My heart jumped. I took a deep breath. I went to open the door. Lucas was there, with Victoria by his side. He was smiling. She was too. They thought this was a celebration. They thought I had accepted their plan. "Hello, Mom. Hello, son. Come in." They entered the living room. And there they stopped. They saw Benjamin. They saw Ryan. They saw the documents on the table. The folders. The papers. Lucas's smile vanished. "What is this, Mom? Who are these people?" "Sit down, please. We need to talk." Victoria tensed up. Her eyes scanned the room, calculating, looking for exits, looking for strategies. "I do not understand what is going on here," she said with a cold voice. "Soon you will understand. Sit down." Lucas looked at me confused, but he sat down. Victoria remained standing a few seconds more. Finally, she sat next to him, but on the edge of the sofa, ready to run if necessary. I sat across from them. Benjamin and Ryan remained standing behind me, as witnesses, as backup. "Lucas," I started. "A few days ago I received a visit. This gentleman is Benjamin Foster. He is an attorney. He came to tell me something that changed everything." Lucas frowned. "What thing?" "Victoria hired me, or tried to hire me. She asked me to investigate how she and you could claim rights to this house. She told me your mother was sick, that she needed help, that she could no longer take care of herself alone. Lucas turned around. What? Did you do that? Victoria raised her hands. Lucas, let me explain. I was just worried about your mom. I wanted to know what options we had to help her. Lie, said Benjamin. You asked specifically about mental incapacity, about how to take legal control of the property without the owner's consent. That is not true. I have the emails. Victoria, I have everything recorded. Every word you said to me. The color disappeared from Victoria's face. Lucas looked at her with disbelief. Victoria, is that true? She did not answer. She just looked at Benjamin with hatred. I kept talking. My voice was firm now. It was not shaking. When Benjamin told me that, he started investigating. And he discovered something else. Something you need to know. Lucas, I took the first folder. I opened it. I took out the photo of Arthur Gales. This man was named Arthur Gales. He was 68 years old. He was a widower. He lived alone. And 4 years ago, he married Victoria. Lucas took the photo. He looked at it. Then he looked at Victoria. You were married before? You never told me. It was a long time ago, Victoria said quickly. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with it, I said. Because what you did to that man is the same thing you are trying to do to us. Ryan stepped forward. That man was my father, and she destroyed him. Lucas looked at him, confused, scared. Who are you? I am Ryan Gales, Arthur Gales' son. And I came to tell you what this woman did to my family. Ryan started talking. He told the whole story. How Victoria had met his father. How she had married him quickly. How she had isolated him from his family. How she had managed to get a doctor to declare him incompetent. How she had sold his house. How she had put him in a horrible nursing home. How he had died alone. With every word, Lucas became paler. Victoria tried to interrupt, to deny it. But Ryan had documents, evidence, photos, everything. That is not true, shouted Victoria finally. This man is lying. He is crazy. I do not know who hired him to say these things, but I have the marriage certificates, said Benjamin. I have the house sale deed. I have the nursing home records. I have everything, Victoria. You cannot deny it. I took more papers out of another folder. And there is more. Lucas. Arthur was not the only one. We found at least 2 other cases, 2 other older men, widowers, with properties. Victoria married them. And in both cases, they ended up losing everything. No, Lucas got up from the sofa. This cannot be true. Victoria, tell me it is not true. Victoria also stood up. She had tears in her eyes. But I knew they were fake. Lucas, my love, you have to believe me. These people are trying to separate us. Your mother has never accepted me. She hired these people to invent lies about me. I did not hire her, I said firmly. Benjamin came on his own, because he has a conscience. Because he did not want to be an accomplice to what you were planning. I took out the last document, the most important one. And I also found this, a request you made 2 weeks ago, to the Department of Social Services, asking them to evaluate my mental health, saying that I represented a danger to myself, that I needed supervision. Lucas took the paper. He read it. His hands were shaking. Victoria, did you do this? It was for her own good. Lucas, your mom is alone. She is depressed. She needs professional help. I am perfectly fine. My voice came out louder than I expected. I am not sick. I am not crazy. What is happening is that you wanted them to declare me incompetent so you could take my house. To do to me the same thing you did to Arthur, to the others. That was your plan from the beginning. Lucas dropped the paper. He put his hands to his head. I cannot believe this. I can't. Benjamin spoke with a calm voice. Lucas, your wife is a professional con artist. This is what she does. She looks for vulnerable men who have just lost someone. She seduces them. She marries them fast. And then she starts the process of isolating them from their families and keeping their properties. That is a lie, shouted Victoria. It is all a lie. Then explain the previous marriages, I said. Explain the documents. Explain why you hired a lawyer to investigate how to take my house. Explain why you wanted them to declare me incompetent. Victoria looked at me with pure hatred. There were no more smiles. There was no more falseness, Only rage. You, she whispered. You ruined everything. It could have been easy. You could have accepted our help, but you had to be difficult. You had to investigate. She turned to Lucas. Tell these people to leave. Now. But Lucas did not move. He was in shock, looking at Victoria as if she were a stranger. Is it true? Everything they are saying. Is it true? Victoria opened her mouth. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, something had changed. She was no longer the sweet wife. She was another person. Someone cold, calculating. You are an idiot, Lucas. You always were. I thought I could handle you, that you could be useful, but you are as weak as your father. Lucas took a step back as if he had been hit. What did you say? I never loved you. You never mattered to me. Only this mattered, she pointed around. This house, this property, $400,000. I calculated. Maybe more. And I would have gotten it if your mother had not been so nosy. The tears started falling down Lucas's face. Not of fear, of pain, of betrayal. I loved you. Victoria laughed. A cold laugh. Cruel. Everyone loves me. At the beginning. It is easy to make fools like you fall in love. You do. You say what they want to hear. You make them feel special. And later, when they are already hooked, you start taking control. She came closer to me. Benjamin stepped in between, but I stopped him with a gesture. You should have accepted my help, Patricia. It would have been easier for everyone. But now you are going to have trouble. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to say you threatened me. That these men attacked me. I am going to make your life impossible. You are not going to do anything, said Benjamin, because I have everything recorded. Every word you just said. And if you try to do anything against Mrs. Miller or against Lucas, I am going to take this to the police. I am going to take all the documents, all the evidence, and I am going to bury you. Victoria froze. You are lying. Benjamin took out his phone. He pressed play, and there it was. Victoria's voice, her own words, her confession. It is over. Victoria, you lost. For a moment, I thought she was going to attack me. I saw the rage in her eyes. I saw how she clenched her fists. But Benjamin and Ryan were there, and she knew she could not win. She took her purse. She looked at Lucas one last time. You are pathetic. Like your mother. Like all of you. And she left. She slammed the door, making the walls shake. We heard her steps going down the stairs. We heard a car start. And then, silence. Lucas let himself fall onto the sofa, covering his face with his hands, crying, shaking. I approached him. I sat next to him. I put my hand on his back. I am sorry, Mom. I am so sorry. I cried too. But not from pain, from relief, because my son had seen the truth, because there was still time, because we could still fix this. I hugged him, and he hugged me like when he was a child, like when he was afraid and only I could protect him. I am sorry, Mom. I was a fool. I abandoned you. I treated you badly. And all for a woman who never loved me. It is over, son. It is over. Benjamin and Ryan withdrew discreetly. They left us alone, father and son rebuilding what was almost destroyed forever. The following days were strange. Good, but strange. Lucas stayed with me that night. He did not want to go back to his apartment. He did not want to be alone. I understood. He had just discovered that his entire marriage had been a lie, that the woman he thought he loved had only used him, that he had been about to betray his own mother for someone who never cared about him. I prepared the guest room for him, the same one where he slept when he was a child. I put on clean sheets. I brought him a cup of tea. I sat on the edge of the bed while he looked at the ceiling without saying anything. How could I be so blind, Mom? You were not blind, son. You were human. She knew exactly what to do, what to say. She is an expert at this. I should have listened to you. I should have seen the signs. I should have. It is done, Lucas. The important thing is that now we know the truth, and we can move forward. He turned toward me. His eyes were red from crying so much. How can you forgive me, after everything I did to you, after how I treated you? Because you are my son. Because I love you. and because I know she manipulated you. But I also need you to understand something. What? That I am never again going to allow you to treat me like that. That if we are going to be a family again, it has to be a real family, with respect, with communication, with genuine love." He nodded. The tears started falling again. "I promise you, Mom, never again." I hugged him, and for the first time in months, I felt I had my son back. The next morning, Benjamin called. He had news. Victoria tried to access Lucas's bank accounts last night. She tried to drain all the money. Fortunately, Lucas had blocked the cards after what happened. So she is still trying to steal. Of course, people like her do not give up easily. But I have more news. I filed a formal complaint with all the evidence we have. The police are investigating. She may face charges. Really? Really. The other cases are also being reviewed. Ryan and the other families are willing to testify. This time, Victoria is not going to get away with it. I felt relieved. Justice. Finally. Some justice. Thank you, Benjamin. For everything. I do not know what would have happened if you had not come. That is why I did it, Patricia. Because someone has to stop people like her. Lucas also spoke with a lawyer that day. He started the divorce proceedings. Victoria did not answer calls. She had disappeared, probably looking for her next victim, her next family to destroy. But at least, we were safe. Days turned into weeks. Lucas continued living with me. At first I thought it would be temporary, that at any moment he would tell me he had found a new apartment, that he was going to leave. But he did not, and I did not ask him to. Because the truth was, I liked having him there. I liked waking up and hearing noises in the house again. I liked cooking for someone else. I liked having conversations during dinner. I liked not being alone. One afternoon, while we were washing dishes together, Lucas spoke. "Mom, I have been thinking about something. What is it? I want to stay here, with you. Not to control you, not to take anything from you. Just to be close. To take care of each other. To be a real family." I looked at my son. I saw sincerity in his eyes. I saw regret, but I also saw love. "I would like that, son." He smiled and hugged me, and I felt that finally, after so long, things were falling back into place. Lucas got a new job, better paid. He started contributing to the household expenses. Not because I asked him, but because he wanted to. Because it was fair. Because that is how real families work. He also started going to therapy. He needed to process what had happened. The betrayal, the manipulation, everything. And I supported him. I went with him to some sessions. We talked about things we had never talked about how I felt when he abandoned me, about how he felt trapped between his wife and me, about everything. It was painful, but necessary, because wounds do not heal on their own. They need to be cleaned. They need attention. They need time. 1 month after the confrontation, Ryan came to visit us. He brought good news. The police arrested Victoria. They found her in another city, trying the same thing with another man. But this time, someone recognized her, someone who had seen the news. And they called the police. Really? Really. She is going to face multiple charges. Fraud, breach of trust, forgery of documents. She is going to be in jail for a long time. I sat down. I needed to process the information. Victoria, arrested. Finally, after destroying so many lives, after leaving so many men alone, confused, stripped of everything. "How do you feel?" Lucas asked me. Relieved. Sad for all the families she destroyed, but relieved that she can no longer do it. "Me too," sighed Ryan. "But mostly, I feel that my dad can finally rest in peace. Knowing that the woman who destroyed him is going to pay for what she did." We spent the afternoon together, the three of us, sharing stories, healing. Ryan told us more about his father, about the man he had been before meeting Victoria. A good man, hardworking, loving, like my husband. And we realized that we had all been victims, each in our own way. But we also realized that we had survived. And that was what mattered. The following weeks were of rebuilding. Lucas and I established new routines. We had breakfast together every morning. We had dinner together every night. On weekends, we went for walks in the park. Or we went to the movies. Or we simply stayed home watching old movies. It was simple. It was normal. It was what it always should have been. I also started reconnecting with my friends. Friends I had stopped seeing because I was too buried in my pain. In my loneliness. I called them one by one. I told them what had happened. Some were surprised, others not so much. One of them, Martha, came to visit me. I always knew that woman was bad, she told me. I saw it in her eyes the first time I met her. But I did not say anything because I thought you were going to tell me I was exaggerating. I wish you had told me. Would you have believed me? I thought about that. Honestly, probably not, because when we want to believe in something, when we want things to work, we ignore the signs. We ignore the warnings. Maybe not, I admitted. But now I would have. Martha stayed all afternoon. We drank coffee. We ate cookies. We laughed. And I realized how much I had missed that. The company. The genuine friendship. Conversations without a hidden agenda. Lucas also started going out more, reconnecting with his own friends. Friends that Victoria had made him push away. Little by little, his life became his again. Not hers, his. One night, while we were eating dinner, he told me something that surprised me. Mom, I was thinking, I want to sell my apartment. Why? Because I do not need it anymore. Because I want to stay here. If you agree, of course. I looked at my son. The boy I had raised. The man I had lost. The son I had recovered. You will always be welcome here, Lucas. This is your house too, he smiled. That genuine smile I had not seen in years. Thanks, Mom. Lucas sold his apartment a month later. He used part of the money to remodel the house. We fixed the roof that was leaking. We painted the walls. We changed the old furniture. We gave new life to every corner. And while we worked together, painting, hammering, cleaning, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. I felt I was home. Truly home. Not just in a building, but in a place where there was love, where there was family, where there was a future. One afternoon, while we were resting after painting the living room, Lucas showed me his phone. Look at this, Mom. It was a news article. Woman arrested for multiple cases of fraud against the elderly. Faces up to 20 years in prison. And there it was. Victoria's photo. In prison clothes. Without makeup. Without a smile. Without masks. She looked small. Defeated. Nothing like the confident woman who had entered my house months ago trying to take everything from me. How do you feel seeing her like that? I asked Lucas. Nothing. I feel nothing for her. Just relief that she cannot hurt anyone else. He put the phone away. He looked around the freshly painted living room. We built something good here. Mom. Something real. Yes, son. We did. And it was true. We had taken something broken. Something almost destroyed. And we had rebuilt it. It was not perfect. There were still scars. There were still difficult moments. But it was ours. It was real. It was family. That night, before sleeping, I went to my room. I opened the drawer where I kept the old photos. I took out one of Lucas when he was a child, the same one I had seen months ago, the one of the two of us at the park, him with ice cream on his face, me hugging him. I smiled, because that boy had returned, not physically, but in spirit, in essence, in love. I put the photo away. I turned off the light, and I slept peacefully. For the first time in a long time, I slept without fear, without worries, without thinking I was going to lose everything, because I was no longer alone, because my son had returned, and because together we had won. 6 months have passed since that night. 6 months since the truth came to light. 6 months since I recovered my son and almost lost everything I had built in my life. Today, I get up early, as always. But now it is different. I hear noises in the kitchen. Lucas is already awake. He is making coffee. I can smell the toast from my room. I dress slowly and go down the stairs. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, son. We sit down to have breakfast together. We talk about simple things, about the weather, about his plans for the day, about the dinner we are going to make tonight. Normal things. Things that before I took for granted and now I value every day. After breakfast, Lucas goes to work. I stay home, but I no longer feel alone. The house has life now. It has energy. It has love. I clean a little. I make lunch. And then I sit on the sofa with a cup of tea. I look around. The freshly painted walls. The new furniture we bought together. The family photos we hung back up. All this was about to disappear. All this was about to be hers. Victoria's. That woman who almost destroyed my family. But she did not succeed. And that makes me feel strong. It makes me feel victorious. Not because I destroyed someone, but because I defended myself. Because I set boundaries. Because I did not give in. The phone rings. It is Benjamin. Patricia, how are you? Good, Benjamin. Very good. I have news. Victoria's trial ended yesterday. They sentenced her to 18 years in prison, without possibility of parole for at least 10 years. I stay silent, processing. 18 years. Victoria is going to be in prison until she is an old woman, until she can no longer hurt anyone else. Patricia, are you there? Yes, I am here. Just. I do not know how to feel. It is normal. You do not have to feel anything specific. You just have to know that you did the right thing, that you saved your family, and that you probably saved many other families too. Thank you, Benjamin, for everything. Without you, none of this would have been possible. Without you, Patricia. Without your courage. Without your strength. You were the one who fought back. I just gave you the tools. I hang up the phone. I stay sitting in silence, thinking, reflecting, on everything that happened, on everything I learned. I learned that love is not enough if there is no respect. I learned that mothers also deserve to be taken care of. I learned that setting boundaries is not selfishness, it is survival. I learned that the truth, even if it hurts, is always better than the comfortable lie. And I learned that it is never too late to recover what is yours. Your dignity, your family, your life. That afternoon, Martha comes to visit me. We bring out cake and coffee. We sit in the garden. It is hot, but there is a nice breeze. You look good, Patricia. You look at peace. I feel at peace. Did you hear about Victoria? Yes, Benjamin called me a few hours ago. And how do you feel? Relieved. Sad for all the families she destroyed, but relieved that she can no longer do it. Martha nods. She takes a sip of her coffee. You know, when all this started, I thought you were going to give up. I thought you were going to let them take everything from you, but you didn't. You fought. And you won. I did not feel strong in that moment. I felt scared. Courage is not the absence of fear, Patricia. It is acting despite the fear. You are right. I was afraid. Very afraid. Afraid of losing my house. Afraid of losing my son. Afraid of ending up alone in some forgotten place. But I acted anyway. I defended myself anyway. And that changed me. I am no longer the same woman I was 6 months ago. That woman was broken. She was lost. She was willing to accept crumbs of love just not to be alone. But this woman, the one I am now, knows what she is worth. She knows what she deserves, and she accepts nothing less. At night, Lucas comes home. He brings flowers, a small bouquet of daisies, my favorites. And this? Just because. Because I love you. Because you saved my life. Son, you also saved me. We have dinner together. Lucas tells me about his day, about a new project at work, about a coworker he liked. Normal things, everyday things, but that mean everything. After dinner, we wash the dishes together. And while we do it, Lucas speaks. Mom, I have been thinking about something. What is it? I want to do something good with all this. Something that gives meaning to what we went through. Like what? I want to help other families. I want to work with Benjamin. Create a foundation or something like that. To help older people who are being manipulated. To prevent what almost happened to us from happening to them. I stop. I leave the plate I was washing. I look at my son with tears in my eyes. That is beautiful, Lucas. Do you think it is a good idea? I think it is the best idea you have had. And that is how pain transforms. It does not disappear. It is not forgotten. But it transforms into something useful. Into something that can help others. Into something with purpose. Lucas starts working on his project. He talks to Benjamin. He talks to Ryan. He talks to the other families that were victims of Victoria. And little by little, the idea takes shape. 2 months later, they launch the foundation. It is called the Family Dignity Foundation. Its mission is simple: protect older people from scammers, educate families on the signs of manipulation, provide free legal help to those who need it. The first person to donate is Ryan. He donates $10,000 in memory of his father. I also donate $5,000. Money I had saved for years. Money I almost lost. But that is now going to help others. The foundation grows. They help 3 families the first month, 7 the second, 12 the third. Every family with its own story. Every family on the verge of losing everything. But now they have help. They have hope. And I feel proud. Proud of my son. Proud to have fought. Proud to have turned something horrible into something good. One afternoon, while I am in the garden watering the plants, I see a woman walking down the street. She stops in front of my house. She looks at the number. Then she rings the doorbell. I open the door. It is a woman of about 50 years. She looks tired, worried. Mrs. Patricia Miller? Yes, that is me. My name is Irene. My mother is in trouble. I read about your story in the newspaper, about what happened to you with your daughter-in-law. And I think something similar is happening to my mother. I invite her in. I make her coffee. And I listen to her story. A story similar to mine. A new man in her mother's life. Promises. Strange changes. Isolation. All the signs. I give her Benjamin's number. I give her the foundation's number. I tell her what I did, how I protected myself, how I saved my house, my life. She cries. From relief, from hope. Thank you. You do not know how much this means. After she leaves, I stay sitting in the living room, thinking on how a tragedy can turn into purpose, on how pain can be the beginning of something good. That night, before sleeping, I write in my journal. It is something new I started a few months ago. My therapist recommended it. She says it helps to process, to heal. I write about everything that happened, about Victoria, about Lucas, about Benjamin, about Ryan, about the foundation, about Irene, about everything. And at the end, I write this. Today, I understood something. My life did not end when my husband died. It did not end when my son abandoned me. It did not end when that woman tried to take everything from me. My life continued, and continues. And as long as I have strength, I am going to keep fighting. For me, for my family, for all the people who need to know they are not alone, that they can defend themselves, that they can win. I close the journal, I turn off the light, and I sleep peacefully. Because now I know who I am. I know what I am worth. And I know that no one, ever again, is going to take what is mine. My name is Patricia Miller. I am 60 years old, and this is my house, bought with my money, with my sweat, with 30 years of honest work. And here I am going to stay, surrounded by true love, surrounded by real family, surrounded by dignity, because that is what I deserve. That is what we all deserve. And if you are going through something similar, I want you to know this. You are not alone. There is help. There is hope. There is a way out. You just have to take the first step. You just have to defend yourself. You just have to remember who you are and what you are worth. Because no one has the right to take away your dignity. No one has the right to steal your life. No one has the right to make you feel less. You are strong. You are valuable. You are important. And you deserve respect. You deserve love. You deserve to live in peace in your own house, surrounded by people who truly love you. Do not give up. Do not give in. Fight, like I did, like many others have done, like you can do too. Because in the end, the truth always wins, justice always arrives, and true love always remains. And that is the most important thing of all.